Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Wednesday. I'm actually off from work tonight. Yay! I'm trying to fight something off here, a little nasal cough thingy. So, took some Mucinex, drinking some vitamin water with vitamin C. I already had some emergency, so I can still talk, though. So far, taco? I can still talk okay, though, so we're still good to go so far. Who knows? But by the time I wake up later, I may have no voice. Who knows? It's been going around, but I'm trying to fight it off before Thanksgiving because we're going to go down out of town this weekend. So if I'm sick, then I will have to stay home and send my wife on her own, which sucks. But we'll see how things go. But anyway, it will not stop me from pitching Nightmare on Elm Street 3 follow-up to Nightmare on Elm Street 2 Freddy's Revenge. So at some point, maybe I'll actually go through each one and give a good review of them and stuff like that. But this movie has always been very interesting. And I mentioned this in my ranking, but I'll put this credit claw down for now. Is that it's become known as the gay nightmare. Which, if you really watch the film, there is a lot of homoerotic context to it, but which is fine, whatever. But it's also, if you actually watch the film, it's not that bad. It's got some problems, but it kind of doesn't follow the rules as much that the first one set up, which I think the third one did a better job of following that. But that's because Wes Craven was involved in this, and this was more like, let's cash grab a sequel. And I remember reading about, like, originally they didn't even ask Robert Englund to come back. It's like, what the why would you not have Robert Englund come back? Luckily they were smart and came to their senses. But so anyway, this has always felt like a lot of, even I was just looking at Google, it was just like, is this canon? And it's like, yes, technically, because it is in the same house, and they do reference Nancy, so same universe. Now, these characters never interact with the characters from the first one, so, but technically it is canon. Now, I guess the big thing with the homoeroticism was that supposedly the director didn't know that the lead actor was gay in real life. Now, I don't know if he was out at that time or not. But there's been a lot of context that he's mentioned too, that some of the writing really seemed to be like almost in a way mocking it or something, which it was the 80s. It's just how people were. But so I can understand feeling kind of frustrated by that instead of, just being like, okay, this character's gay, Nowadays it wouldn't be a problem. It doesn't really matter. But at that time, people were still, weird about that stuff. It was a time of the big AIDS crisis and everything like that. So it was what it was. But as far as the movie goes, it's goofy. It's silly. And I know it's funny, people say, Freddy's not comical until 3 or 4. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But this movie's fucking hilarious at times. Especially Clu Gallagher as the dad. I mean, Clu Gallagher's just fucking hilarious. In most of the stuff he was in. But, like, it's funny because the main character's name is Jesse. And I swear to God, he never calls him Jesse. He's just like, Jessup! Jessup! I'm like, is his name Jessup now? And there's just a lot of goofy scenes, like the scene with the bird and all that. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? But overall, like, the main actor does a good enough job, I think. I like the girl, Lisa. She's really good. She's a decent final girl as well. And trying to help him and all that stuff. And yeah, Freddy is reasonably scary in this one too. Plus, he comes out in the real world a little bit to go after people. So it's a different thing. Now, yeah, it wasn't something they stuck with so much with him coming out in the real world, at least till New Nightmare. But it's really not a bad film if you actually watch it. It's much better than Dream Child. It's much better than Freddy's Dead. It kind of it got kind of left by the wayside. But the scene with the bus is really good. I mean, I guess it's technically a mini review I'm doing. Anyway, but I'll talk about the long form other time. But maybe a full breakdown at some point. So anyway, here's the pitch, because I already did a pitch for what Nightmare on Elm Street 2 would be like if we had just followed the first film and the characters in that. And if you haven't been here before, if you haven't seen my Halloween pitches, go check those out. They've gotten a decent amount of views. Actually, the Halloween 7 pitch is the most viewed video on my channel. Keep on watching, guys. So that was cool. It was funny. It was like Halloween 7. That's the one. Of all the other Halloween pitches I made, that's the one that everyone wanted to see. Okay. I guess I was following the Thorn trilogy, so I must have some Thorn trilogy fans there. Anyway, I've always been a big fan of the Nightmare series, as I've mentioned. The Waking thing is probably my favorite horror series, honestly. I like Halloween and Friday the 13th and stuff too, but like, in terms of horror series, in terms of like movies I can watch over and over again, Nightmare on Elm Street I can pretty much watch almost any of them, honestly. Like even the not so good ones, they're still like I can still sit down and enjoy them, you know. And I can say that for most of the Halloween movies outside of Rob Zombie's movies. I just I've seen the first one a few times. The second one I saw once, and that was enough for me. And yeah, Resurrection I've only seen once too. I just try to avoid that one too. I mean, if it's on, I might like nothing else is on. I'm like, oh, I'll watch it just in the background. But this isn't about Halloween. This is about Nightmare on Elm Street. So anyway, how the movie ends basically is, you know, Freddy has been using Jesse's body to come out and kill people, but and so he's trying to fight it, and Lisa's trying to get him to break through it. So it's like it's changed to beat him. You can beat him. You can beat him. And the way it ends is very much like the first movie. They have a scene. It goes back to the bus from the beginning. And the bus scene is really cool. I will say that beginning opening scene is really fucking cool and dark. It's funny because I had never seen the second one for a long time. Like I saw the first one and then I went immediately to Dream Warriors. And my dad says, "Oh, it's the one with the bus." I'm like, "Oh, the bus, huh?" So when I actually saw it, I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of cool." Yeah. So when I saw things in order, it was like I'd seen 1, 3, and 4, I think first, and maybe even 5, and then I went back and 2 was on TV, and I'm like, "Oh, I'll watch this." So I had never actually seen 2 for a long time. But yeah, at the end of the bus scene, you know, the one girl, the friend of Lisa's, is talking, and then the claw comes through her, you know, and then the bus goes off into the, you know. So, I mean, it's implied pretty much that they're probably dead. But I go with the context of, you know what, just like in the other one with Heather Langenkamp going with her friends, you didn't technically see, other than the girl getting the claw through her thing, you didn't see Jesse or Lisa die. Therefore, for my pitch, they are still alive. And that was just another bad dream, you know, because he still had that connection to Freddy. So, I think there's some interesting things you could do with a follow-up. Obviously, you could have them, you know, reach out to Nancy and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think as I did with the Halloween things, I don't want to just rely on Nancy, just like I don't want to rely on Laurie Strode for everything. I think you can do something different with it. And I think, like I said, the main actress is pretty good. I think she does kind of look, a lot of people say she looks like a young Meryl Streep, but I can see that. And the main actor isn't that bad either. As I've said in the first video, we're doing this as if it was happening in the 80s or 90s or whatever the case. Not trying to like bring these actors back for a movie now like they did with Halloween and all that. I mean, that's an idea. I certainly have ideas for a pitch for Nightmare on Elm Street, but like a trilogy or something like that myself, but I'm not going to do that in this video. Stop rambling, Adam. Jeez. So anyway, I think we're going to go with the context. We're going to leave Nancy out of this one. Maybe she'll be referenced, or maybe she pops up at the end or something. If we're going to build a trilogy out of these characters, or whatever. So I would say this much. I think, just because, and I don't know, obviously, like I said, I don't know when Mark Patton, the actor, came out of the closet. So this idea is not so much to try to push him out of the closet or anything like that, because I would never do that to someone, because when you're ready, you're ready. If he was comfortable with it, and this is obviously this is all just scenario what-if situation, I would probably embrace his character coming out of the closet. Maybe it's a few years later, he's had a chance to grip the things, and accept that he's gay. Why not have a main character who's gay? I think, especially in the 80s, it would have been groundbreaking. And, you know, they can still be very close. They can be very Will and Grace. You know, they don't have to be, like, comedic like that. But, like, that kind of thing where they're still really good friends, even though they've dated and all that stuff. But, yeah, I would say, like, it's been a few years. You know, he's gone through a little bit of therapy and all that. That's probably, I think, we'll say we have a psychiatrist character who helped him kind of find his way to accepting who he really was. So I think that's a good way to go about it. Embrace the whole, especially nowadays, embrace the whole thing that it's usually called the gay nightmare. I mean, let's go with it. Why not? Um, it's really not that big a deal. You write the character well, it can work. Trust me. Watch Schitt's Creek, one of the best gay relationships I've ever seen put to television, with David and his boyfriend. Like, I was rooting for them to get married, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. Because I think that's the thing, with just a quick thing, is a lot of times, like, you have either CW, where it's just like a character who just has to keep letting you know, by the way, I'm gay. Like that old Jim Carrey and Lemon Cover thing. I'm gay. Like, this is my only personality quirk. I'm gay. Or you have the Ryan Murphy approach, which is we're going to basically just go as graphic and as gross and in your face as possible. And you know what? All the respect in the world. I can understand that. Be yourself. Live your life. That's cool. It just sometimes can be like, okay, I don't need to see this much sex going on, straight or gay. Just like, whoa, can we just get back to the story? Anyway, that's an American Horror Story thing. But yeah, I think that's the thing. If you write it well, it can be done well. So I would say, yeah, I do want to get away from the Freddy using a body to kill, though. Because that was an interesting choice. I think it was fine for one movie. I don't think it's necessarily necessary for this movie. And yeah, he got burned off from the last movie. So, and obviously Dream Warriors really doesn't follow anything canon with this. So, we can do whatever the hell we want with Freddy if we want. But yeah, it's been a while. It's been a few years. So Freddy hasn't been around for a while. Now obviously I don't want to repeat what we did with the other pitch. It's not going to just be like, now someone's bringing it back. But I think basically I would go with like somebody else has moved into that house now. He convinced his parents to move out of there and his sister. And I would bring the sister back. Let's bring her back. Make her, she's a little bit older too. And and his parents maybe too, because Clue Gallagher is fucking awesome. Rest in peace. I think he passed away not too long ago, but yeah, he was funny. But yeah, I would say yeah. So they're still really good friends. Maybe Jesse's got himself a boyfriend or something like that. Maybe Lisa has gotten a new boyfriend as well. And they're both happy. They're in a group of friends. They're having a good time. He connects with his sister when he can. And then basically what's going to happen is his sister will start getting nightmares. And Freddy's power starts to grow. And I would actually have it be just to be a gig shock. I'd have his sister get killed right at the beginning. Like, you get to see her for a little bit, and then she gets killed. And that's going to be kind of the catalyst of how Freddy's coming back. Because now he's had that attachment to Jessie, and now he's attached to her. I wouldn't, like I said, I didn't want to repeat the same thing and just have him take over her body and have her kill people. But I would definitely use that as kind of an opening kill. Because that way you start off with the thing, and then this is going to definitely mess with Jesse's head a bit. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe this is back. This son of a bitch is back. How did he come back? But I would also start, seeing him try to convince people who have moved into the house to not. I think a lot of it was because they were in the house, but I would say or maybe here's how we could do it. Maybe his sister goes back to the house on a dare or something like that, or maybe some friends and her have a party there or something. I don't know. It's a possibility. You'd think they wanted to just get the hell out of that house, but you never actually see his parents move out in that movie. They're just kind of like, they're there in the background, and then the family's just kind of not, it's not like other movies where like everybody just tries to get out of the house. It's like Poltergeist or something. So yeah, it's like you never really see that. So, I'd say, yeah, let's say ever go back, and then she falls asleep, and then she gets killed. And maybe, maybe her friends start getting offed as well, to see up the body count for a sequel. And meanwhile, Jesse and Lisa are meeting and all that, and they're trying to figure out, because like I said, they're older, so a lot of things you notice is that Freddy kind of goes after the next generation. If you manage to survive, most of the time in these movies, he usually just is focused on kids, because that's the whole thing, him being a child murderer, him being or the other thing, if you want to say it. I'm not really comfortable with it myself, but but it is kind of, you know, legitimate. So yeah, so they're trying to figure it out. They look at the diary again that Nancy left. Um, Meanwhile, Freddy's on the rampage again. He's killing teenagers again, and like everyone who was a friend gets killed that was in the house. And these are just kind of they're characters you introduce, and they'd be somewhat well introduced. They wouldn't just be, but you'd at least have, much like the first movie, they'd start getting offed, and some gruesome, cool dream sequences. As far as what dream sequence I would have, that's something I'd have to really sit down and write out. But I would definitely have some cool dream sequences and cool kills and stuff like that. But meanwhile, they figure out like, okay, we need to find a way to fight him and all that. Now, I think what could be interesting is you could tie this into another movie. Like I said, like they try everything. They try to go into the dream, but they're not strong enough to beat him. And that could be where maybe you tie in Heather Langenkamp. You know, like they try to find her. Who, you know, at this point, she's moved away. She's trying to get away from this whole thing, put it behind her. It was a traumatic thing. She lost her mom. She lost her friends. You know, her dad and her had a tattered relationship. But I would say maybe like, you know, that Jesse, you know, finally they end up reaching out to Heather Langenkamp, and will set up sort of a final movie in a trilogy of sorts for this one. And that one they find a way with Heather Langenkamp to basically kill Freddy finally. So that said, I would tease Heather Langenkamp throughout the movie and then have her show up towards the end, set up another movie with that, build the trilogy from that, and then wrap things up and figure out you know, how you're going to kill Freddy. And there's many ways. Like I said, you can set him on fire. You can do that. You know, there's lots of different ways they've killed him and then brought him back, and even more ridiculous ways. Yeah. So I would say that overall, that I know it's not as huge as long as video, but that's my basic pitch. Like, it'd be a 2-movie follow up, so it would be, I guess, 3 and 4 technically. But that would be an interesting way to go about it. It would be sort of going a little bit off canon, but not completely off canon, because like I said, we're kind of moving away from him using the body. But like I said, by connecting to this younger sister, that same house, his power grows, stuff like that. And then yeah, and like I said, we also don't do the we don't do the stupid trope. We don't kill off Jesse in either movie, because too often there's that kind of trope of like, bury your gays, you know. We're not going to do that here. We're going to be smart. And like I said, I don't know if Lisa or Nancy will die or not. Probably not. I'd say let's let some people survive. Why not? So in this one, yeah, that would be how they'd kill Freddy. You know, figure out. You can put your own ending on it if you want. So cool. That was my pitch for a 2-movie follow-up to Freddy's Revenge. As far as what I called them, Freddy's back, and then Freddy's dead, I guess. I don't know. Freddy's End, or The Final Nightmare, or whatever you want to call it for that last one. Cool, guys. Cool. So that takes care of that trilogy. So what I would do next is work on a pitch for a Dream Warriors follow-up that ignores Dream Master, but my own follow-up to Dream Warriors, and what I would have done with that, which will be a lot of fun, because as you know in the ranking video, Dream Warriors is one of my favorite movies of the Nightmare series. I love the Dream Warrior powers and the Dream powers. I think it's great. It was a great addition. So that'll be fun to think about. So I'll probably do that one. If I don't do that later, depending on how I'm feeling, because my throat's already starting to hurt. That's why I'm wrapping this up quick. But then I will do it probably tomorrow or sometime this weekend. If I don't go out of town, I'll probably do more. But if I do, then sometime next week. But anyway, I am going to hit all the Nightmare series for these pitches, so I hope you're enjoying these videos as much as you enjoyed the Halloween ones. I'll be happy to do Friday the 13th. I can't really do Hellraiser too much because I've only seen 4 of them. Most of those, I haven't even seen the new one yet, but most of those I just consider non-canon, all those kind of straight-to-video ones, because most of them were not really meant to be Hellraiser movies anyway. So yeah, I'll do this one. I can do Final Destination. There's not that much you can maybe there's something you can do, but I don't know. But there's lots of different horror series I can definitely do. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think I've seen all but one of those, I believe. So that would be interesting to take on. Cool. All right, guys. Like and subscribe. Let's get up to 20 subscribers, you guys. We're at 19. Just wait one more and we're up to 20. That'd be great. And I appreciate everyone all the views, and in subscribers. So yes, have a happy Thanksgiving, guys, and hope you enjoyed this pitch.